Hey everyone, my name's Sean Van Slyke. This is my final research project for my master's in applied behavior analysis and special education. My title is Effects of a Fixed Interval DRO on Canine Vocal Disruptions in a Public Setting. So the research question is, will a fixed interval DRO reduce vocal disruptions? We had two dogs treated as a unit, a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. One was a hound mix and one is a golden doodle. Vocal disruptions limit the amount of opportunities we can take our dogs out in public. I'm not the only person that I've talked to that has this concern. I would like to bring the dogs out more, but when they're barking, crying, whining, it's not fun for us and it's seemingly not fun for them. Um, so that's why we did this, because we want to be able to bring the dogs out for these enrichment activities. The reason I picked fixed interval DRO is that behavior programs should be accessible to more than just behaviorists. I wanted to show a really simple behavior program that other dog owners could use. Uh, I believe this translates well into making programming for clients that parents can also implement at home when it's appropriate. So the fixed interval DRO, basically the only thing we were doing was hearing for those vocal disruption behaviors. If they pawed at us, if they try to get up, if they did anything other than engaged in vocal disruption, it wasn't a concern. So it was nice to have such a simple procedure. The setting was a picnic table outside of a popular restaurant, outside of, or in our small town. We used it with the permission of the staff. Previous research has shown fixed intervals of reinforcement contingent on vocal disruption not happening is basically immediately effective. And there's quite a bit of research that shows it being used in the classroom, which I think is cool because, again, this should be accessible to people that are not behaviorists. So for our baseline, we took information on the dog's vocal disruption behavior. We tallied it with a 10-second offset. So we would wait for 10 seconds of them not emitting vocal disruptive behaviors before we would consider the next one an instance of that behavior. The intervention was pretty simple. They go 1 minute without making these vocal disruptions. They get a piece of kibble. They each get a kibble. If either of them makes a vocal disruption, then neither of them get the kibble. Again, offset of 10 seconds was required before we started the timer again. And onset was any duration of a disruption. We did an ABA design, but we wanted to do ABAB because of the structure of class and how we have to be done at a certain time. I didn't have time to implement another intervention stage. We also had to work around the weather and things like that. But because these are our dogs, mine and my partner's dogs, we do plan on doing this further. We do plan on going out into other settings to generalize. So although we did leave it in a baseline phase, it's hopefully not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a concern because we are going to keep implementing. So yeah, the results were pretty cool. In the initial baseline, we are very stable. Uh, yeah, our line is very stable. In the intervention phase, we see two decreasing trend lines with an uptick in the middle. Um, when we first saw the uptick, we were quite concerned. The fact that it went back to baseline also made me a little concerned, but I wanted to keep going with it because the research says this works. And you can clearly see we have two distinct trend lines, each made with 3 points, and we have an uptick that doesn't qualify as a trend because it's only 2 points. For our second baseline, we did have a little honeymoon phase where the dogs were very, very good. However, the next time immediately, they went to basically double what baseline was for the rate of focal disruption, but it stayed pretty stable up there, which I thought was interesting. The results showed that we had experimental control, but we would also want to have further treatment programming. There were other behaviors we wanted to shape. There were instances we wanted to reinforce, but we didn't because it was on the timer. We wanted to do a lot of things that we couldn't because it was this research project. Uh, but again, that's the cool thing about moving on from this is now we can implement it further and we can make the changes that we wanted to make. Our research was done outdoors in public, so we were at the whim of the weather, and we were at we can't control what people walking by are doing. Some people are reaching out, petting the dogs without asking. Some people are running by or being loud. There were quite a few things our dogs reacted to. Uh, I also believe that we were in the same spot a lot, and that led to maybe some other behaviors emerging. It's not common to go to the same restaurant for this many sessions in a row. Um, but the dogs handled it well, and it made sense to do it this way rather than a new restaurant every time. For future plans, we do plan to continue the the DRO. I think we're going to make it a varied interval, and we're definitely going to generalize the setting and also shape other behaviors while we're at it. So this is my project. Thanks, everyone.